Let's be honest, you've been there. You're scrolling through an online store, your cart is filling up, and you have to wonder, why am I doing this? What's the real reason I'm about to click buy? Well, today we're going to pull back the curtain on that exact moment by looking at one of the most exciting and fastest growing markets anywhere on Earth. So just how big are we talking? Get a load of this number, $64 billion. That's what India's online retail market was projected to be worth in 2021. This isn't just a trend, it's a full-on digital gold rush. And this chart just puts it into perspective. The market skyrocketed from $16 billion in 2016 to $64 billion just 5 years later. That's 4 times bigger. It's an explosion. And for brands and researchers, the big question became, who is driving all of this? And the answer? It's millions of young, super tech-savvy shoppers, mostly college age, between 18 and 25. They're the engine. So if you can figure out what makes them tick, you've basically found the key to this entire market. And that's what led a team of researchers on a very specific mission. Okay, so how do you actually get inside the minds of millions of people? Where do you even start? Well, that's where the science comes in. Researchers decided they needed to build a special tool to do exactly that. And their goal, well, it was seriously ambitious. They wanted to create the very first scientifically proven scale to measure the exact psychological drivers that make a young Indian consumer buy clothes online. This wasn't about making a few good guesses. It was about building a reliable blueprint of the shopper's brain. And let me tell you, they were thorough. First, they brainstormed every possible reason someone might shop for clothes online. They came up with 94 different reasons. Then they worked with experts and tested that long list with 265 students to narrow it down. And finally, to make sure it was rock solid, they validated the whole thing with a new group of over 400 students. All right, so after all that hard work, what did this new tool actually show them? Well, the first major finding is that our reasons for shopping fall into 2 very different buckets. Is it a chore you just gotta get done? Or is it all about having fun? It basically comes down to this split. On one hand, you've got utilitarian shopping. That's shopping as a task, a mission. You're being logical. You want convenience, good prices, lots of choices. But on the other hand, you have hedonic shopping. That's shopping as entertainment. It's the thrill of the hunt, the excitement, the fun of just browsing and discovering new things. But here's the thing. Whether you're on a mission or just looking for a good time, there's another crucial calculation your brain makes right before you decide to buy. So what's that final deal maker? It all boils down to one simple concept: perceived value. This is the heart of the decision. It's that little voice in your head asking, okay, for this price, for the quality I think I'm getting, and for how it'll make me look, is this actually worth it? It's the ultimate mental gut check. And of course, other things are swirling around in your mind too. There's perceived risk. Is this even going to fit me? Is it safe to put my credit card info in here? And then there's e-service quality. Is this website a pain to use? Are they going to deliver when they say they will? All these things matter, but the research also uncovered something much more personal. Okay, now this is where it gets really fascinating, because it turns out we're not just shopping for stuff. We're shopping to build our own identity, especially when it comes to our friends and our social life. The researchers pinpointed 4 key personality drives. There's innovativeness. That's the person who has to have the new thing first. Need for uniqueness, the drive to not look like everyone else. Novelty seeking, the constant craving for what's new and different. And then there's opinion leadership. This is about wanting to be the person everyone comes to for advice. So that brings us to the $1,000,000 question. You have all these things pushing and pulling you, the practical stuff, the fun stuff, all these personal identity things. But which one? Which single trait has the most power to make a young shopper click buy? And the answer is opinion leadership. This idea has actually been around for a long time. This definition is from way back in 1955. An opinion leader is basically that person in your friend group, you know the one, whose taste you trust, who always seems to know what's cool before anyone else. And here's the killer insight. For these young shoppers, a huge reason to buy new clothes online is to solidify their status as that go-to person. It's not just about getting a new outfit. It's about being able to tell their friends about it. Shopping becomes a social act, tied directly to their identity and influence in their group. Okay, so this is a great model. It's clean, it makes sense, it's backed by a ton of data. But let's get real. Does it actually predict what people will do? Can these 10 factors really tell us if someone is going to shop online or not? The answer is a big yes. And the proof is in this one simple number: 27%. What this means is that this psychological blueprint, all 10 of those factors working together, could successfully explain nearly a third of a person's actual real-life shopping habits. And trust me, in the world of social science, being able to predict what a human being will do with that much accuracy, that's a huge win. So what's the bottom line here? What does this all mean for the brands and marketers who are trying to get our attention? Well, for them, this research is way more than just an interesting paper. It's basically a treasure map. The takeaways for them are crystal clear. Brands can use this to measure what their customers really want. They can understand the whole journey from the moment someone thinks about buying something to how they feel after it arrives. And most importantly, they can stop shouting at everyone and start talking to specific people, especially by finding and celebrating those all-important opinion leaders. Which leaves us with one final thing to think about. As brands get better and better at this, at understanding our deepest motivations, are they just selling us clothes? Or are they selling us something much, much more seductive? A shinier, more popular, more influential version of ourselves. Definitely something to consider the next time your cursor hovers over that Add to Cart button.